Gout Gout. He is just 18 years old, but the whole world is watching him. Why? Because the fastest man alive, Noah Lyles, made a shocking claim. He said this teenager is even better than him. Could a kid really be that good? What happened next didn't just prove Noah Lyles right. Let's find out. Gout Gout was born in Ipswich, Queensland on December 29, 2007. He is 18 years old. His parents, Bona and Monica, are originally from South Sudan. They fled their country, spent time in Egypt, and moved to Australia in 2005, 2 years before Gout was born. He is one of 7 children. He grew up 40 kilometers from Brisbane, the city that will host the 2032 Olympics. His full name, pronounced to rhyme with pout, was misspelled during his family's transliteration from Arabic. The world knows him as Gout Gout. At 13, he won his first school 100-meter and 200-meter races. His coach at Ipswich Grammar School, Diane Shepherd, had spotted him a year earlier, at 12, and already knew what she was looking at. She later told Australian Athletics, "My biggest thing with the kids is about being humble, and he has got it in bucket loads." She has coached him from school carnivals to world championships. At 15, he broke the Australian under-18 200-meter record. At 16, he ran 10.29 seconds in the 100 meters at the Queensland Athletics Championships, and then erased Peter Norman's Australian 200-meter record, a mark that had stood for 56 years since the 1968 Mexico City Olympics. He kept lowering it from there. Athletes do not erase 56-year records at 16, but Gout Gout did. In August 2024, he represented Australia at the World Under-20 Championships in Lima, Peru, and won silver in the 200 meters in 20.60 seconds. He was 16. 2 months later, Adidas signed him to his first professional contract, before he had even finished school. No one expected him to be at that level yet, but Gout Gout has never followed the expected timeline. In September 2025, Gout Gout arrived at the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo. He was 17 years old at a Senior World Championship, a competition where men in their mid to late 20s typically dominate. He ran through his 200-meter heat and reached the semifinals, finishing 4th in 20.36 seconds and missing the final by 1 position. Noah Lyles was also at those championships. He had just destroyed his own semifinal with a 19.51 second run, the fastest 200-meter time in the world in 2025. He was the reigning Olympic 100-meter champion. He was the standard by which all other sprinters were measured. A reporter asked Lyles what he thought of Gout Gout. "He's more talented than I was," Lyles said. Not, "He has potential," not, "Watch this kid in a few years." Lyles, the Olympic champion, the 8-time world champion, the man who called himself the fastest person alive, looked at the media and said a teenager was already more gifted than he himself had been at the same age. He then added, "He's an amazing kid. He's got a great head on him. He's got a great team around him. It's going to be interesting to see how he develops." This was not an older athlete being kind to a young fan. This was a precise, calculated statement from a man who knows exactly how good he is, and he said a teenager was ahead of that curve. The relationship between them runs deeper than press conferences. During the summer of 2025, Gout spent 2 weeks training with Lyles in Florida, experiencing elite professional preparation up close. Lyles also hosted him on his podcast, Beyond the Records, offering career advice. The key message Lyles gave him: learn to say no. Gout later explained it himself. "Noah was telling me to always be myself and be level-headed, but to learn how to say no, especially in situations with fans." Lyles closed one message to the teenager with 3 words: "Go be great." On February 21, 2026, Gout Gout showed up to a small club meet in Brisbane called the Dane Bird Smith Shield. Saturday morning. Minimal crowd. No cameras from the major networks, no championship belt on the line. He had decided only 1 week earlier to enter the 100-meter event. He ran 10.00 seconds flat. That time, with a legal wind reading of plus 0.9 meters per second, equaled the fastest 100-meter run by any Australian man on home soil. It set a new Australian under-20 record, wiping out the previous mark of 10.15 seconds. It positioned him as the 3rd fastest sprinter in Australian history. Within minutes of the race finishing, a text message arrived in manager James Templeton's phone. It was from Lance Brahman, the coach of reigning Olympic 100-meter champion Noah Lyles. The message read, "The boy is coming." This was a signal. 3 weeks later, Gout traveled to Melbourne for the Maury Plant meet. Kennedy edged him by 0.05 seconds in the 200 meters on a rain-slicked surface. Gout took that loss, stored it quietly, and kept building toward April. At the Sydney Olympic Park Athletics Centre, the warm-up track built for the Sydney 2000 Olympics, Gout Gout stepped into the men's 200-meter final at the 2026 Australian Athletics Championships. The Stadium Australia roof was visible above the stands. The Sydney 2000 logo was still printed on the dais. Before the race, Gout had written one number in his notes, 19.75 seconds. He repeated it to himself all week. When the gun fired, 22-year-old Aidan Murphy refused to yield. He pushed Gout hard through the curve and down the straight, harder than anyone expected. Gout dug deeper than he had ever gone. He found another gear. He crossed the finish line in 19.67 seconds. I wrote down 19.75, and for the past week in my head I've been telling myself I'm running 19.75, Gout said afterward. And obviously 19.67, you've got to love it. The numbers behind that time are staggering. Gout became the first Australian man to break the 20-second barrier in the 200 meters. He broke the ratified world under-20 record of 19.69 seconds set by American Ariane Knighton in 2022. He ran faster than Usain Bolt ever had as a teenager. Bolt's personal best before turning 20 was 19.93 seconds. Gout is at 19.67. He is ahead of the greatest sprinter in human history at the equivalent point in their career. On raw times, that performance would have earned bronze at the Paris 2024 Olympics ahead of Noah Lyles. On the day Gout ran 19.67 seconds in Sydney, he was running faster than the man who gave him career advice. Murphy also went under 20 seconds, finishing second in 19.88. The top 7 finishers all set personal bests. This was not a local track day dressed up in championship clothing. This was a generation announcing itself. After crossing the line, Gout spoke to the crowd, "This is what I've been waiting for. We have such incredible athletes in Australia, and being able to race these athletes pushes me to my limits." The honest picture still includes a gap. Noah Lyles holds the American record at 19.31 seconds. Letsile Tebogo has gone under 19.50. The distance between 19.67 and the world's absolute ceiling is real, and pretending otherwise would be dishonest. But Gout addressed this himself directly after Tokyo, when he walked off the track as a 17-year-old who had just competed at his first senior world championships and fallen one spot short of a global final. He said, "The thing that I have on them is time. They may not have 15 years, but I've got 15 years for sure. So I know that if I can do this at 17, I'll be even better at 25. In August 2026, he will line up at Hayward Field in Eugene, Oregon, one of the fastest tracks on the planet, for the World Under-20 Championships. He gave up his spot at the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow to be there. That is exactly what Usain Bolt did in 2002, when he skipped other competition to win 200-meter gold at the World Junior Championships. Bolt used that title as the launchpad for everything that followed. Gout is following that same blueprint step by step. And beyond that, in 6 years, Brisbane hosts the 2032 Olympics, the city 40 kilometers from Gout's school, the home crowd he has been running toward his entire life. He will be 24, the absolute prime of a sprinter's career. That is the full picture. Not just what he has already done, but what is sitting directly in front of him. The bombshell Lyles dropped in Tokyo was not flattery. It was a forecast. Gout Gout just answered it with 19.67 seconds on a Sunday morning in Sydney. The clock is on his side, and the biggest stage of all is still 6 years away.